President Trump has banned transgender women from women's prisons. And some people, like this person, don't like it too much. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about President Trump reversing a Biden administration decision which allowed transgender women to go to women's prisons. And let's be totally crystal clear. What I'm saying is that the Biden administration allowed biological XY males to go to prison with XX females. Okay. Now, whether somebody want to say I'm transgender, I'm this, that, and the third, I'm Zer, Zim, Z, Zer, that's fine. However, the chromosomes ain't changing. Okay. I don't care how much trans this and trans that you throw in a situation, how much trans seasoning you season the fish with when you fry it, it's still going to be what it is. All right. Now, we got a lot to get through. We got some opinions, we got news articles, and some proof, some evidence that this kind of situation, housing men with women, is never a good idea. First things first, an article, New York Times, Trump bars transgender women from U.S. prisons for female inmates. In an executive order, the president also moved to end gender-related medical treatments for transgender people in prison. What does that mean, ABL? Great question. Glad you asked. Free sex changes. I think they were doing that in the military, which is why you banned transformers from the military. Same thing in the penitentiary. Okay, you're on hormones, you had surgery, you might need this treatment and that treatment, all this and that. So, nah, you want to get some aftercare for your sex change surgery? Well, maybe don't rely upon the federal penitentiary to do it. Maybe don't rely upon the government to do it. Okay, do that on your own dime rather than trying to be out here scamming. Now, this person, I suppose, is a trans person. We're going to hear from this individual, whatever the pronouns are. I guess it's infinite pronouns and infinite genders, so I don't know what to say. But let's hear from this person. Then we're going to hear from the news and see what they got to say. Check it out.
An executive order is not going to erase trans people. It's just going to cause us to be more fabulous and for us to speak out more. It's a piece of paper that will probably not hold up in court. If you're a trans person watching this, you are loved, you are valid. A piece of paper does not change that.
Okie dokie. Look, whoever you are, I don't really care about you specifically as a person. I don't know nothing about you. You might be an okay person aside from what you got going on with your appearance. But that's not even the issue. The issue is that people who identify like how you identify are taking advantage of women. They're taking advantage of children. They're doing a lot of different things under the guise of, oh, I'm transgender, I'm all this and that. That is a problem. Okay, now let's check out what they got to say on MS-13 DNC. You can pretty much already predict where they want to go, but I want to hear it from the horse's mouth so they can't say I misquoted them. Check it out.
Overturn the Constitution to do his evil and wrongness.
Let's put some stuff up here. He was very excited about the end diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the federal government. What's the impact?
Yeah, so that's obviously very bad. It's particularly evil to. I always think of prisoners, people who are incarcerated who have changed, who have transitioned. According to this, you're going to.
So transitioning, just to be clear, because they talk so choppy and unclear in a way to kind of misdirect you. So they could say certain things and get it past you. You're not really going to hear it, but they said it. So then when a guy like me comes on and says that they're liars, they could say, well, no, I said this, that, and the third, but they're saying it in the way that's going to kind of confuse you if you're not really paying very close attention. Let's back up a little bit to get the full context here.
People who are incarcerated who have changed, who have transitioned.
People are incarcerated who have transitioned, meaning they ain't died, because that's what that word could also mean. He's talking about those who have had sex changes.
According to this, you're going to take trans women and put them in male prisons. What do we think is going to happen to them there?
Yeah.
That's not going to be a good day.
Yeah.
So you're just automatically assuming because they're transgender, that's why they're going to get sexually assaulted in the men's prison, as if regular men who don't identify as transgender don't get sexually assaulted in prison. Okay, as if regular men who don't get sexually assaulted, they don't identify as transgender, may lose their life in the penitentiary. Okay, or they might get assaulted, put in the wheelchair, all kind of stuff. At the end of the day, they're men and they were convicted of a crime. So, hey, you do the crime, you do the time. It don't really matter how you identify. At the end of the day, you did what you did. Now you got to pay the consequence. Nobody put a gun to your head and made you be transgender and dress a certain way and behave a certain kind of way. Simple.
So I think that this is a thing that has real impact. There's also a real obvious equal protection challenge. And so again, Trump will do this. He will be sued. This is one of the ones that could be, if not completely stopped, delayed, but there will be people who suffer, unconscionable pain because of what he's doing, and not in the kind of like, oh, somebody just called Gracie George. No. These are people who are going to be hurt and physically assaulted because of Trump's executive order.
Now you're saying what Trump is doing as far as allowing making the so-called trans women, biological men, go to prison with other men. You're saying that's a bad thing and he shouldn't do it. Well, what about when they're going to prison with women? What happens then? Because it's not just all sunshines and rainbows. It's not like they just leave the women alone. There's never any kind of assaults. How many women have been assaulted by these transgender men? I've seen women turn up pregnant from the transgender men in prison. Getting pregnant by other inmates shouldn't be what's happening. But let's check this out.
52-year-old state prisoner Tremaine Carroll must be referred to with she, her pronouns because Carroll identifies as a woman. But the district attorney believes the defendant is abusing the system.
This is a person who's not a woman in any sense of the word.
In March, DA Sally Moreno charged Carroll for rape allegedly committed while incarcerated at the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla.
After his first cellmate became pregnant and was moved to Los Angeles, two other cellmates of his complained that he had raped them. So we have filed rape charges against this inmate.
This is something that's obvious, man. How you going to allow a prison? We're talking about people in prison now. We ain't talking about just regular normies in the street. We're talking about prisoners. And a lot of these guys got extensive rap sheets, violent records, violent history, gang members, all of that. He could say that he's transgender, but what does that really mean? At the end of the day, he's still a man. Whether he believes he's transgender or not is irrelevant. He's a man, so just treat him as a man.
Moreno says the ruling regarding pronouns impacts her ability to prosecute the case.
This is a particular issue in this case because it's confusing to the jury. In California, rape is a crime that has to be accomplished by a man.
Supervising Deputy DA Eric Dutemple says it's also unfair to the victims.
It's just absolutely insane that a victim would have to get on the stand and police their pronouns and their usage when trying to recite one of the most scariest times in their lives.
Carroll was allowed to serve time in a women's prison despite being a biological male because of Senate Bill 132, the Transgender Respect Agency and Dignity Act, which took effect in 2021. It allows inmates to be housed with the gender they identify as. The CDCR website points out state law prohibits discrimination based on gender identity.
There's no psychological evaluation that needs to be done. This person doesn't need to be on cross-gender hormones. They don't need to be signed up for transgender surgery. They don't even need a significant psychological evaluation regarding gender confusion. The mere statement is enough.
So this kind of thing is happening all over the country, Now, I think what Trump is doing is going to apply to federal inmates. I'm not quite sure how it's going to be on the state level, but it should be a thing that's nationwide. It shouldn't just be federal. It should be on the state level as well. How are you going to allow male prisoners to be housed with female inmates? It makes no sense. Male inmates should be housed with male inmates. Female inmates, female inmates. I don't care what their personality is, what they identify as. That's their business. That's their personal business. But biology should be how we do these things, because you're going to have women get assaulted, come up pregnant. Now we got a whole different problem going on. And a lot of these guys got HIV and all types of stuff. But as I close, I want to say this. I'm glad that we're taking some steps to get this country back on track. I mean, some common sense things. Why would you put men in women's prisons for any reason? Some are going to say, oh, a lot of these guys, they're harmless, all that and the third, and no such thing. They're a man, so it's going to be dangerous. It's really crazy if anybody think that it's okay. But again, I'm glad we got the orange man back in town, the adults back in town, to get this ship back on the right track. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about what Donald Trump did? Is it a common sense thing? Should it have ever been something to undo? Meaning, should the Biden administration have allowed this to go on? men being housed in women's prisons. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I mean, a lot of things that are happening right now, a lot of the executive orders are just common sense things. I mean, it's nothing really groundbreaking, not really reinventing the wheel, but some things that we should have been doing for a long time that the previous administration just thought that we shouldn't be doing. I mean, the wheel's already been invented. The wheel works. It goes round and round. They want to reinvent it. It doesn't work. And then they're sitting there wondering why it didn't work. That's pretty much where I'm at right now. And I hope we can continue to do things like this to get this country back on the right track. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.